Long Island medium star Theresa Caputo suddenly finds herself at the center of a strange and uncomfortable rumor. It spread on social media. She proposed to a young man, and the young man publicly humiliated her and turned her down. As the news spread, the situation became more embarrassing. Discussions and criticisms began in various places, and even some members of Teresa's own family became embarrassed and started avoiding her. They began to believe that Theresa had really done something that was humiliating to their family. But after a few days, the truth came out. The entire incident was a complete fake news story. There was no reality, no evidence. The young man's existence could not even be confirmed. Investigation revealed that this was just a drama created by a fake online page, the purpose of which was to create controversy about Theresa. Theresa breathed a sigh of relief after the truth was revealed. Those who had misunderstood also understood that Theresa was never involved in such a situation. Gradually, the misunderstanding was cleared up, and the family stood by her again. For Theresa Caputo, life as the Long Island medium had always been a whirlwind. She was used to people questioning her gift, doubting her experiences, and occasionally criticizing her public life. But she had never, in all her years of readings and television appearances, faced a rumor quite like the one that blindsided her one quiet Tuesday afternoon. It began with a single post on an obscure social media page, poorly edited, sensational, full of dramatic language. The headline read, "Theresa laughed when she first saw a screenshot sent to her by a friend." "Are you kidding me?" she said aloud, shaking her head. "These people will make up anything." But within a few hours, her laughter stopped. The post spread like wildfire. Larger pages picked it up, adding their own exaggerated captions. Then commentary channels made reaction videos, speculating endlessly about what really happened. The rumor fed on itself, growing, mutating, and transforming into a full-blown scandal. By midnight, her phone was buzzing nonstop. Messages from fans, confused questions, screenshots of new versions of the rumor, even journalists sending formal inquiries. And then came the most painful blow, the reaction from some of her own extended family. Her cousin Lisa left her a short, cold voice note. "Theresa, if this is true, I don't know what to say. This looks really bad." Her Aunt Lenora wrote publicly on Facebook, "Without asking Theresa anything, I hope this isn't true. Our family has dignity." For the first time in a long time, Theresa felt something she rarely experienced: embarrassment. It wasn't because she had done anything wrong, but because people she loved, people who knew her, were ready to believe the worst. She tried ignoring it. She tried waiting it out. But the next morning, it got worse. Several gossip pages claimed that the young man she allegedly proposed to was 19 or 20, and that he had publicly rejected her in a restaurant. Some posts even included blurry images of a woman with blonde hair kneeling beside a table, images obviously doctored, but convincing enough to fool thousands. By Thursday, Theresa stopped leaving her house. She canceled a reading session. She turned off her phone for hours at a time. "I've never even seen this guy," she vented to her daughter Victoria. "This story makes me sound desperate, like someone who's lost her mind." Victoria hugged her tightly. "Mom, people will believe anything on the internet. Just breathe. The truth always comes out." Still, the damage was done. For days, Theresa felt the invisible weight of judgment everywhere, even in silence, even in the walls of her own home. Her team, especially her longtime manager Paul, couldn't stay still. "This isn't a regular rumor," he told her. "It feels coordinated. Too many pages are posting identical text." He hired a digital investigation group to trace the origin of the post. Within 2 days, everything unraveled. The young man in the story. No one could find him. Not a name, not a photo, not a single trace of his existence outside the rumor. The original page that posted the story? A fake account registered under a false name with a history of making viral hoaxes about celebrities. The restaurant incident? Completely fabricated. The images used were taken from a stock photo website and edited. This appears to be a coordinated attempt to generate controversy and engagement using fabricated content. Paul immediately arranged a public statement, and within hours, large media outlets corrected their posts. Reporters apologized. gossip pages quietly deleted their videos. The fake account vanished from the internet overnight. And slowly, like fog lifting at sunrise, the truth began to reach people. Theresa was sitting on her patio when her cousin Lisa showed up unannounced, tears in her eyes. "Theresa, I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I should never have doubted you. I felt ashamed, and I reacted without thinking." Behind her came Aunt Lenora, wringing her hands nervously. "We were wrong," she admitted. "We should have spoken to you first. We let the internet poison our trust." At first, Theresa didn't know what to say. She wasn't angry, just deeply hurt. But then she sighed softly and said, "Your family. I love you. And I forgive you. But next time, believe me before you believe strangers." They hugged. For the first time in a week, Theresa felt her shoulders loosen, the tension melting away. That night, the whole family gathered at her dining table. They ate spaghetti, laughed about old memories, and even joked about the absurdity of the rumor. "Proposing to a mysterious young stranger," her brother joked. "Theresa, if you ever do that, at least invite us to the wedding." However, on a rainy Thursday afternoon in Long Island, Theresa Caputo woke up with a heaviness in her chest, an odd pressure that often meant someone on the other side was trying desperately to get her attention. She sat at her kitchen table with a cup of herbal tea, but her fingers kept tapping the wooden surface nervously. "She's young, she's scared, but determined," Theresa whispered to herself without even knowing who the spirit was. "She wants her mom, she wants justice." Later that day, a private reading had been scheduled, something unusually urgent. A woman named Maria De Luca, a quiet, grief-stricken mother in her late 40s, had reached out to Theresa after seeing one of her group readings online. Maria had written only one line in her email: "I need to know if my daughter is at peace, and if she tried to reach me before she died." Theresa knew this was going to be heavy. At 3 p.m. sharp, Maria stepped into Theresa's reading room. She was thin, pale, with deep circles under her eyes, grief etched permanently into her expression. She clutched a small silver necklace with a tiny heart-shaped pendant. "Hi, honey," Theresa said softly, giving her a warm handshake. "Whatever happens today, know you're safe here, okay?" Maria nodded, though her voice trembled. "I'm ready, I think." As soon as they sat down, Theresa felt a cold wave rush across her shoulders. "She's here," Theresa whispered. "Who?" Maria's fingers tightened around the pendant. "A young girl. Your daughter. And honey, she's coming in strong." Theresa closed her eyes. Her breathing slowed. "She keeps showing me a flash of bright light. Sudden, unexpected," Theresa said. Maria froze. "That's how she died." Then Theresa felt a sharp shock, a stabbing sensation on the left side of her chest. "Oh my God," Theresa gasped, pressing her palm over the spot. "She's showing me her passing, but she's telling me she wasn't prepared." Tears streamed down Maria's face. She was murdered. They haven't caught him yet." Theresa nodded slowly. "She says this wasn't random. The man knew her." Maria's breath hitched. "What? Who?" Theresa lifted her head as if listening. "She's saying, 'Mom, you already know who he is.'" Maria sucked in a trembling breath. I had suspicions, but the police never believed me." Theresa's voice grew steady. "Honey, she's saying you were right. She's telling me the man had been watching her for weeks." Maria's body tensed. "The neighbor?" Theresa didn't confirm, but the spirit did. "She went still," Theresa whispered. "She stepped closer. She said yes." Softened, Theresa felt warmth at her back. "She's hugging you. Oh, sweetheart, she loves you so much." Maria broke completely, covering her face. She says, "Mom, stop blaming yourself." Maria shook her head violently. "I should have picked her up from school that day. I should have been there." Theresa leaned forward. "She's yelling at me, honey. She says, 'Tell her it wasn't her fault. Tell her she did everything right. Tell her I felt safe because of her.'" Maria sobbed harder than she had in months. But for the first time, her tears weren't just pain. They were release. Then the atmosphere shifted again, heavier, darker. Theresa grabbed the arms of her chair. She's showing me something important. Maria braced herself. She says there was someone who heard something that day. Someone didn't come forward. Maria looked up suddenly. A witness? Theresa nodded. A teenage boy, dark hair, skateboard. He saw her being grabbed. She needs you to go back to the police with this. Maria whispered. Oh my God. I remember that boy? Theresa felt a pulse of urgency. She's pushing me. She says this boy is scared, but he knows the truth. For a moment, Maria looked like she couldn't breathe. She's still helping us, even now. Theresa touched her hand. This is your daughter. She's stronger on the other side than she ever was here. As the reading neared its end, a warm, shimmering sensation filled the room. Theresa smiled softly. She's showing me sunflowers. Were they her favorite? Maria nodded. She planted them in our backyard every spring. She says every time you see a sunflower bloom, that's her saying, Mom, I'm right here. I never left you. Maria wept again, but this time with a fragile smile. And she says, Theresa added gently, Mom, you will get justice. Don't give up now. Maria placed her hand over her heart. I won't. The pressure in the room softened. The lightness faded. The daughter's spirit slowly stepped back, leaving a trail of warmth behind. She's at peace, Theresa said. She's whole. She's not afraid anymore. Maria nodded through her tears. Thank you, Theresa, for giving me my daughter back today. Theresa hugged her tightly. Honey, you gave her a voice. I just passed the message along. However, the morning sunlight over Long Island filtered through sheer curtains in Theresa Caputo's home, scattering golden flecks that drifted across her kitchen like tiny spirit orbs. Theresa, hair already high enough to catch radio waves, paced back and forth in sparkly slippers as she muttered to herself. Today's reading wasn't just any reading. It was a charity gala reading hosted at a historic mansion in Oyster Bay, attended by celebrities, donors, and families looking for closure. Cameras would be everywhere, lights would be harsh, and Theresa knew her usual leopard print dress might not be enough. Theresa froze. Are you kidding me? She whispered, clutching the phone like it was a message from the other side. She answered. Carson, what's up? On the other end came Carson's cheerful, theatrical voice. Theresa, darling, I hear you've got a big reading today, and rumor has it you need a little fashion rescue. Theresa burst into laughter. Who told you that? Spirit, 'cause they've been yelling at me too. Carson giggled. Let's just say the universe pointed me in your direction, and the universe said, girl needs help. I'm coming over. Before Theresa could protest, Carson hung up. 20 minutes later, a colorful SUV stopped outside Theresa's house. Carson jumped out wearing a pink blazer, blue suede loafers, and carrying 2 gigantic garment bags that looked like they could swallow Theresa whole. He marched inside as if the house belonged to him. Honey, I come bearing style salvation, he declared. Theresa rolled her eyes affectionately. Carson, I'm doing a reading, not hosting the Met Gala. Carson placed a hand dramatically over his heart. But darling, every moment you appear in public is the Met Gala. Before Theresa could respond, Carson's gaze suddenly shifted over her shoulder. Theresa, is there someone standing behind me? Theresa blinked. Well, actually, yes. Carson's eyes widened. Oh my God, is it a spirit? Because I did not plan an outfit for that. Theresa smiled calmly. She's fine. She's just excited. She says you smell like lavender. Carson straightened his blazer proudly. Well, at least the spirits know quality when they smell it. As Carson unzipped the garment bags and pulled out dresses, sequin jackets, and boots that glittered brighter than Theresa's personality, Theresa felt chills run down her arms. A young woman's spirit appeared, restless, anxious, desperate to speak. Theresa whispered, Carson, this girl, she belongs to someone at tonight's reading. Carson softened, dropping his dramatic tone. Do you need a moment? No, Theresa said. She wants us to pick the right outfit. Because she says her mother needs to trust me. She says her mom only listens to women who look put together. Carson blinked. Well, then we definitely can't mess this up. He held up a fitted black jumpsuit with shimmering sleeves. This one, he said. It's elegant, respectful, strong. It says I can talk to your dead relatives and look fabulous doing it. The spirit smiled. Theresa felt it like sunlight warming her back. Theresa changed into the jumpsuit while Carson teased her hair even higher. "You're practically touching heaven already," and added subtle, glowing makeup. "You look powerful," Carson said, stepping back. Theresa felt powerful, but she also felt the spirit growing more urgent. "Carson," she said quietly, "she's telling me her mom is coming to the gala in a blue dress. She wants me to find her." Carson touched her arm. "We'll make sure she gets what she needs." The Oyster Bay mansion sparkled with chandeliers and marble floors. Guests mingled in velvet, silk, and designer gowns. Photographers swarmed as Theresa arrived, her presence immediately commanding attention, not because of fame, but because something about her felt luminous. Carson whispered, "Theresa, darling, you look like a fabulous lantern of hope." Theresa whispered back, "I literally have 3 spirits following me." Carson blinked. "That tracks." As Theresa walked deeper into the crowd, she saw her. A woman in a blue dress, clutching a photo, eyes tired from years of tears. Theresa approached gently. "Hi, sweetheart, may I talk to you for a moment?" The woman looked up, startled. "You're Theresa Caputo? I didn't think you'd talk to me." "Well," Theresa said softly, "your daughter had other plans." The woman gasped and covered her mouth. They moved to a quieter space. Carson stood nearby, respectfully giving distance, but watching with awe. Theresa began to speak, repeating messages only a mother would recognize. Her daughter's favorite sneakers, her fear of thunderstorms, the way she'd braid her mother's hair while humming. The promise she never got to keep. The woman broke into sobs, not of despair, but release. "She's okay?" the mother whispered. Theresa nodded. "She's at peace, and she wants me to tell you she picked out my outfit today." Carson, who had been holding back tears, blurted out, "Well, she has excellent taste." The woman laughed through tears, touching the sleeve of the sparkly jumpsuit. "She would have loved this." Theresa smiled. "She already does." Later that night, after long hugs, tearful goodbyes, and another dozen readings, Carson and Theresa sat in the now empty ballroom. "You were incredible tonight," Carson said. Theresa looked down at her outfit, then at the fading glow of the chandelier. "I just listened," she said, "to the living and the dead." Carson leaned his head on her shoulder. "Well, I'd style you every day if that meant helping more people feel what I felt tonight." Theresa laughed, bumping him gently. "Careful, Carson. Spirit might recruit you full-time." He gasped dramatically. "Well, if they do, they better give me a wardrobe budget." However, Theresa Caputo woke up that November morning with an unusual heaviness in her chest. It wasn't sadness exactly, more like a pull, a tug towards something unfinished. She often said that Spirit guided her schedule more than she did, and today, Spirit seemed urgent. She had a private reading booked in a small Long Island town just 20 minutes from her house. The client, a woman named Marianne Turner, had written only a short note in her booking request. "There are things I never got to say. I hope he hears me now." Theresa didn't know who he was, but she already felt the presence of a young male spirit hovering close, restless, almost impatient. When Theresa arrived, she immediately felt an overwhelming wave of heartbreak wash over her. Marianne opened the door, a woman in her mid-50s with soft eyes that looked permanently tired, like someone who had not slept peacefully in years. "Hi, honey," Theresa said gently, hugging her. "Just so you know, your son is already yelling at me," she blurted, because the spirit's energy was so strong she couldn't hold it in. Marianne froze, tears instantly pooling, but she nodded. "I was afraid of that," she whispered. They sat at a small round table near a window draped with old lace curtains. Light streamed through, illuminating dust swirling in the air like tiny spirits dancing. Theresa didn't need more than a moment before she began speaking again, guided by something unseen. "He keeps showing me a baseball cap, worn backwards. Did he wear it like that?" Marianne pressed her hand to her mouth. "That was his thing, ever since he was little. He's also saying, 'Ma, you need to stop blaming yourself.' Honey, he's very clear about that." Marianne immediately burst into tears. Theresa gave her a moment, then continued softly, "He's telling me you never got to say goodbye." Marianne nodded, sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. I didn't. I wasn't there. The pain in her voice cut straight through the room. After a long, trembling breath, Marianne began speaking. My son Evan was 22. He was driving home late from work. A drunk driver crossed the line. It happened so fast. I was out of town visiting my sister. I didn't get there in time. By the time I reached the hospital, he was already gone. She looked helplessly at her hands. I never got to tell him I loved him. Not one last time. I keep replaying that night, thinking if I had been home, maybe things would be different. Theresa reached across the table and squeezed her hand. Honey, he's shaking his head so hard right now. He's telling me, Ma, it wasn't your fault. I need her to stop thinking she could have changed that night. Marianne covered her face and cried into her palms. Theresa let her cry. Then Spirit pushed through again, stronger this time. He's showing me a scene, Theresa said quietly. You in the kitchen, making grilled cheese. I see him leaning on the counter, talking your ear off about something. Marianne laughed through tears. Oh my God, that was our ritual. Every night after his shift at the auto shop. Theresa smiled. He wants you to know that those moments mattered more than anything. Not the end. He says, tell her she said goodbye 1,000 times. She just doesn't realize it. Marianne clutched her heart, whispering, Evan? Theresa continued as the messages came through. He says he still kisses your forehead every night when you cry yourself to sleep, and he still sits in the passenger seat when you drive. He wants you to stop feeling guilty every time you smile without him. Marianne let out a choked sob. He's also showing me a letter, Theresa said, tilting her head as if reading something invisible. Did you write something to him but never showed anyone? Marianne's eyes widened. I wrote a letter. The night after the funeral, I never had the courage to read it out loud. Theresa placed her hand over her heart. He heard every word. Marianne bowed her head. What about the very last thing? The thing I never got to say? She whispered. Theresa sat up straighter. Spirit's energy was glowing around her. He says, Ma, I know, and I'm saying it back. Marianne trembled. What did I want to say? She asked, her voice cracking. Theresa smiled softly. You wanted to say, Evan, I am proud of you, and I will always love you. Marianne gasped, her breath breaking in her chest. That's exactly what I wanted to say. Theresa then closed her eyes, letting Spirit give her a final image. I see him standing behind you right now. He's got his cap backwards, hands in his pockets, that little half smile. He puts his hand on your shoulder, and he says he's not leaving, just standing a little further away so you can live your life. Marianne cried softly, but this time the tears were lighter, freer. Theresa added, he says when you see cardinals in the backyard, that's him. When your kitchen light flickers, especially at night, that's him saying hello. And when you laugh out of nowhere, he's the one nudging you. Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome to my channel. I am Mina. Hope your day is so well. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe the channel.